The leader of a separatist group that wants a breakaway state in the eastern part of the country, Nnamdi Kanu, has been arrested. His movement, the Indigenous People of Biafra, has been labelled as a terrorist organisation by the Nigerian authorities. He was initially held in 2015 on treason charges, but he then fled the country in 2017 whilst out on bail. Kanu is a popular figure who has been a thorn in the side of the Nigerian authorities since 2009. He used his Radio Biafra station, which broadcasts from London, to call for an independent state for Igbo people. Kanu's arrest in 2015 triggered massive protests by his supporters in the southeast of the country. For more insight on the story, we're now joined by Nigerian journalist Samson Omale in Jos, Nigeria. Samson, great to talk to you. Always good to have you on the program. Tell us a little bit more about this character. I mean, recently, when President Buhari had his Twitter account, one of his tweets deleted, soon after, this Nnamdi guy also had some tweets deleted. So he's not afraid to speak his mind.
Absolutely, and by the way, thank you, Peter, for having me on the Globe. Now, Nnamdi Kanu is someone who is very, very much respected in the southeastern part of the country because he's got some huge followership among people who believe in his ideologies. Over the years, he's been calling for the secession of the southeastern part of Nigeria. If you do recall, you remember that way back in 1967, when Nigeria had a civil war, you had that part of the country trying to secede. And many years down the line, you had this character also coming up and, of course, having this ideology that they don't want to be part of Nigeria again. And as you rightly said, I mean, President Buhari has been battling with several challenges in terms of security since he came into power. And recently, the one that seemed to be, giving him some bit of headache is the one that is being fueled by Nnamdi Kanu. Of late, they've been involved in attacking, some of his members have been involved in attacking police stations, killing policemen, and other government public institutions. And so he's been on the run. As you also put it very perfectly, he was arrested in 2015, spent 2 years in jail, and some of the charges that were brought before him were border around terrorism, treasonable felony, managing an unlawful society, publication of defamatory matter, illegal possession of firearms, improper importation of goods, among others. And of course, he runs a popular Radio Biafra, where they really say things that really is not in the interest of the Nigerian state. So he's been very problematic for the Nigerian government, particularly for the President Muhammadu Buhari's administration. And this latest arrest seems to be one sort of success the Nigerian government will be willing to speak about in the days to come.
So what has he been arrested for specifically? Is it charges from before and skipping bail, or have new charges been proffered as well?
So when the Attorney General, Minister of Justice, Abubakar Malami, briefed journalists today, he did say that they are going to prefer charges on him. And when he appeared in court again today, 11-count charge was preferred against him, and it bordered on what I mentioned earlier: terrorism, treasonable felony, managing unlawful society, publication of defamatory matter, illegal possession of firearms, and many others. And of course, he did jump bail. He was supposed to have appeared in court, and he was nowhere to be found. And this time around, the judge, while looking at the bail, while looking at his case today when he was presented before the judge, said that he should be remanded in the Department of State Security Service, not the conventional Nigerian police, but the secret police, sort of with some bit of internals that have the mandate of protecting Nigerian internal security. So he's been kept there until he appears again in court on the 26th of July. And we understand that he's going to be given some accelerated hearing.
Is there a fear that his supporters may cause some civil unrest? I believe that some of the tweets that were taken down by Twitter seem to be inciting violence.
Absolutely, and that's been the concern. As I told you earlier, I mean, for the better part of the last 2, 3, 4 months, the southeastern part of the country has witnessed some very measured and some really concerning act of violence where people are killed, where police officers, even military, are sometimes ambushed. And of course, you even have prisons attacked and let go, most government institutions and all of those. And there is a concern that with this latest arrest, and some of the reactions I've gotten from people, from ordinary Nigerians I've spoken with, they are concerned that his followers may likely step up some form of violence in order to press home, their demands, and also try to make Nigerian government to look into the matter in terms of getting him released. So we'll wait to see how the next few days will be. But most importantly, just a few hours ago, his lawyer did issue a statement and said that they're going to look at the strategies they're going to be involved with in terms of dealing with this matter, and fell short of saying that they were not going to prosecute the case, but said they were going to be prosecuting the case head on.
A lot of this has its roots, as you were saying at the beginning, of the 1960s and the secession of Biafra. Is that sentiment still strong in the eastern part of Nigeria, and particularly with the Igbo people?
Now, it depends on who you're talking with. If you're talking with those who are sympathetic to the cause of secession, the idea you get is this the best thing that will happen to the Igbos in the southeastern part of the country. And for those who are not his supporters, who are of course from the Igbo extraction, will tell you that look, they've witnessed the very horrific part of Nigeria's civil war, where they were at the receiving end, and it's not something, especially if you talk to the very older generation, it's not something they want to go back to. It's not something they want to experience again. And so you have this sort of division in terms of who and the kind of support he has right now. So if you look at his supporters, yes, they believe in him. They believe that yes, they want to succeed. If you look at those who are not supporting this cause, they definitely will tell you otherwise.
Why do you think Nnamdi Kanu became so popular? What is it about him that managed to gather so much support?
Now, he's a very vibrant young man. He's quite intelligent. He's eloquent. I mean, he has this charisma around him. And when he speaks, he can appeal, to your mind, and he has the right words to say to those who believe, in him at the right time. And he also came up at a point where, after the demise of late Chukwuemeka Odumegwu, who led, the Biafra war and also was at the forefront of calling for the cessation of the Igbos, they appeared, and I use that word very cautiously, there appeared to be some gap in terms of someone who want to, carry on that legacy that was virtually abandoned. And Nnamdi Kanu seized that opportunity and began to, highlight some of the issues that concerns and affect the Igbo ethnic group in Nigeria. And I think that's how he became very popular. And you also do know that he also spent a lot of his time in London. And so he also has the best of both worlds, if you ask me. And that was something he also used to his advantage.
Is the bet that President Buhari making that if he takes out Kanu from the equation, that this movement may dissipate?
That may not be completely correct, because again, as I said, he has some hardliners. He has people who he has recruited over time. I mean, he doesn't stay most parts. In the last 2 years, for instance, and since his disappearance, he's not been in Nigeria, literally. That's what we're made to believe. But yet, activities of the indigenous people of Biafra continue. As a matter of fact, this year it stepped up. I mean, sometime last year also, they developed the Eastern Security Network, what they call their own, security outfits to curb some of the incursions and some of the also security challenges that we're having in that part. So to tell you that take him out or leave him in, there's a way he can still continue to push, his statements and of course keep giving directives and instructions it might also interest you to know that with the Radio Biafra and the television stations they also run, it's also an outlet that they can still reach out to their people.
All right, I see that his lawyers are calling for his security to be secured. And does that suggest that, A, they fear that the trial might not be free and fair and that it might not be a just one, or that some harm could come to him?
It's an apprehension from all that a mixture, a potpourri of all that you mentioned. Yeah, because you go through social media, and you get this sense of fear by some of his followers who appear to be saying, hey, look, make sure nothing happens to him. I mean, he's in your custody, make sure he's healthy, make sure he stays alive, And for his lawyers, we also wait to see, because again, I saw the statement you were referring to earlier. I mean, if you read in between the lines, they're literally saying that, look, we're prepared to go on with this case, and we expect that we'll have unfettered access to their client, and also hoping that the trial will be fair. But again, one concerning thing is the fact that now the matter he's been tried upon is borders around Nigeria's territorial, integrity and of course, when you begin to look at charges of treasonable felony, you begin to look at the issues of state security and all of that. So I think all of that is going to, without being prejudicial to the matter, it's a concern that is being raised by his lawyers. And of course, even some civil society groups are also beginning to speak up in the last hour about the fact that they want the trial to be as fair as possible.
So the police launched an operation in the southeast of the country, I think in May. And I just wonder, is there a genuine fear that there could be, I don't know, another uprising in Biafra?
Yes, it's that there are fears, and these fears are palpable. Because again, if you look at the way these guys operate, they seem to be coordinated. They seem to be. They seem to also know how to take out their targets, the ones they want to launch any attack. And don't forget that as we speak, virtually in most parts of Nigeria, particularly in the northern part of Nigeria, we have this security concern around banditry, around kidnapping, and of course, the dreaded insurgency and terrorism by Boko Haram, as it were. So you have one leg of insecurity that the central government is dealing with in the northeast and northwestern part of Nigeria. And then also have, these secessionists in the southern part of Nigeria also calling the, hey, look, we want to secede. So with his arrest, it won't be wrong to say that there may be some, reactions. We'll watch and wait to see how the next few days is going to pan out. But again, the military has been sufficiently deployed to the southern eastern part of the country, and I think they are ready to quell any uprising that may likely occur as a result of this latest development.
All right, and at the moment, no protests. Of course, COVID-19 is very much a part of life. And so one wonders if those restrictions might be used to restrict any kinds of protests that might want to spark.
You can, at this point, and especially if government has an agenda and has something up its sleeves, there's nothing that it won't bring to the table as it is. Yes, COVID is here, COVID-19 is here. We really don't have as much restrictions as you have right now in South Africa, because again, there's been some ease in terms of restriction. People go to work, people go to school, students go to school to take their lectures. You can go to the market, you can go to the mall, people travel, and all that. So it's something that we've seen in time past that you can have certain reasons, especially where you also have, the government agency in charge of COVID-19. They may likely just step up that and just to make sure that such kind of protests won't occur. And one other thing I must very quickly add, Peter, is that what some of the state governors also do once they get a hint that this kind of protest will likely happen, is to impose a curfew. So they could decide to, once they get a wind that any sort of protest is coming, or it's going to take place, they may just impose some bit of curfew in those southeastern states, just to ensure that that they can manage and control such kind of misgivings that may come from his followers.
Samson Omale, we're going to have to leave it there. Thank you very, very much indeed for joining us. Your insights always greatly appreciated. Thanks for your time.